Hey, Family Feud, what's going on? Welcome to Tuesday morning quarterback on Tuesday evening. And as you can see, the commissioner is in his scrubs, unwinding from a day at clinicals. Actually birthed a baby on a simulator today. So there's that to talk about with your friends and family. Talk about it all you want, but pulled the baby out, massaged the uterus and the fundus, examine some certain things. There's that. But now it's my time to go into being a commissioner. And we do that by breaking the games down, talking about Tuesday morning or Tuesday evening, what happened during the week. It's going to be a little quicker tonight than I normally am because guess what? It's the 15th wedding anniversary of yours truly and your defending champion, Orange Crush. Yes, the Crush and the commissioner are married. Now, they have been for 15 years, going strong, through good times, through bad, through parents, dogs, kids, natural disasters, wine, fights, families, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, you name it, 15 years. So, without further ado, I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk about these games. I'm going to hit them real quick. There's a couple that I'll probably spend a little more time on because we had 3 games that weren't so close. We had 2 games that were pretty close. I found some pretty interesting things. Hopefully you'll find them interesting too as we examine those. Okay? And I say examine because that's what I do these days. I examine things. I examine them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to examine these games. Okay. See that? See how we do that? See how we examine? You should look at this right here. You read that? It's got my name on it. Anyway, all right, here we go. First game that we're going to examine is Nerds at Dreads. And, 20-point win for the Dreads. He's looking like the team to beat. Nerds even said it on our group text. Looks like the team to beat. I want to start off with this game, and the reason why is because it really points out something that I think about when I'm doing my breakdowns, my picks, and I call it the triad. And what the triad is your tight end, kicker, defense. These are usually what we wait till the very end of the draft to pick these people. We don't put much thought into them. We don't scout them. We don't look at schedules. But more often than not, this is what actually determines the games. And, in this game, Dreads had 5 touchdowns. Nerd had 4 touchdowns. The yardage total was, very, very close. But the Dreads drilled the Nerds by 20 points. And the reason why is because the triad of tight end, kicker, and defense for Dreads scored 40 points, whereas the triad for the Nerds scored 18 points. And I know from talking to Johnny that he doesn't put a ton of work into his kicker, defense, tight end. He might tell you otherwise. I don't believe it. And it showed in this game. Now, granted, most of that came on one giant pass play to Greg Olsen. It was a 78-yard touchdown. It's a 15, 16-point play. And it ended up being a 20-point difference. So if you hear me say triad going forward, that's what I'm talking about. Moving on, second game I'll talk about is Crimson and Triple T's. Once again, wasn't terribly close. It played out close early in the game, but then it just started distancing. Ended up as a 25-point win for the T's. Once again, it's the triad. Everything was pretty similar, except we have a 17-point difference. The triad for the Triple T scored 33, whereas Crimson scored 16. And it looked pretty good having Martellus Bennett as Gronk's backup because this is the second week in a row he hasn't seen the field. And we have a keeper on the bench for 2 weeks, but Martellus Bennett as a handcuff actually paid off. And nice pickup by the T's of Palmer. Now that's got to sting a little bit for Crimson, dropping Palmer and then getting 28 thrown up on him. Now Stafford, I think, is going to be looking good going forward. He threw the ball 40 times again for 20 points, but once again it cost him. Interesting note on this game is Crimson's running backs have yet to score a touchdown on the year. And this is the Lacy Devontae Freeman combination. And he traded up, gave up some picks for Freeman. I don't think he's expecting that. And Lacy, although he looks good, he plays in a Mike McCarthy system, and the guy just will not give his running backs the ball around the goal line. Mike will deal with that all year long. I guarantee it. With Aaron Rodgers, he will throw from the one 70% of the time. As a matter of fact, I mentioned it on the broadcast that no team has a higher passing percentage inside the 10-yard line than the Green Bay Packers. So super frustrating if you're a Lacy owner. Okay, moving forward. This game's a real interesting case study. This is Boats and Hose at True Blue. Absolute total dominance in the game. It's 111 to 80, 31-point blowout. You say, man, he absolutely dominated him across the board. But when you look closer at the numbers of this game, it's pretty interesting. Now, True Blue has dominated Boats and Hose. He reminds him of it all the time. It's got to be eating Boats up. And when you look further, this is even going to sting him even worse. First of all, the amount of touches, we talked about this last week. Boats and Hose had 55 touches on the week, not counting quarterbacks. True Blue had 55 touches on the week from his position players, equal. Boats and Hose had 807 yards from his position players, total. True Blue had 772 yards, meaning they touched the ball the same, and Boats and Hose actually gained more yardage than Boats did. But there's a huge difference, and obviously there's a difference when a team outscores another one by 31. True Blue had 8 touchdowns total on the day. Boats and Hose had one touchdown on the day. So obviously that's where your difference in the game is. They both touched it the same. True Blue had less yardage than Boats, but he scored 8 times to Boats 1 time. And there you go. And so I think that's kind of a telling statistic there. Good job, 111 scored by True Blue. Boats has got to feel good about the action his guys are getting, but they've got to get in the end zone. And you know what? That's a huge part of fantasy football. Who's going to get the ball in the red zone? Who can put it across the goal line? Now, those were the 3 games that weren't close. Let's talk about the ones that were close. The first one that I want to talk about is Crush at Young Guns. A lot of talk leading up to this game. Young Guns, you know, the nephew and the aunt, they like to go back and forth. They have some good banter between the two, the kind that I like to see. They love each other. They tell each other they love each other, but then they go at it and they kind of get after it on the message board. And Young Guns ends up prevailing and ends up being one of the final 3 teams with an undefeated record. Nice start for the young one in the league. He gets a 4-point victory, but it was not without having to do some sweating. You know, we break this one down when we talk about the triad. Crush had 24, Young Guns had 26. Honestly, you'd think that Crush would win this game when you say this. Triad 24 for the Crush, 26 for the Young Guns. Wide receivers, the Crush score 19, Young Guns get 7. So I get a 12-point advantage at the wide receiver position. QBs are equal. They both score 25. But then it comes down to the running backs. Young Guns running backs get 19. Crush's running backs get 5. And this is where we do Tuesday morning quarterback when I say, man, what if, or what happened, or God, I was unlucky, or shit, what the hell? And that kind of is how Crush has to feel, because Doug Martin and Amir Abdullah, both of her running backs, are injured in the first quarter of their games and do not return. Both off to good starts, too. Martin had 7 carries and Abdullah had 6 carries in the first quarter, and they never return. The flip side of that is Young Guns has to come from behind. On Monday night, the Philadelphia defense is absolutely stuffing Jeremy Langford. He has 3 carries for 1 yard. But what ends up happening, and this is what happens a lot in fantasy football, Jay Cutler drops back to pass. He throws a 50-yard bomb. He throws it short. Alshon Jeffrey catches it, falls down on the 5-yard line. They try to throw it in the end zone again on first down. There's a pass interference on first down. They move it to the 1 yard line, and guess who gets it? You bet. Jeremy Langford gets it for a 1 yard dive to win the game and put Crush out of her misery. Real interesting game, though. They battled back and forth the whole way. Crush would have never even been in the game if not for her crush defense of Denver Broncos, who throw up 20 in a losing effort, which you hardly ever see in fantasy. A defense scores 20, you're going to win that week, almost always. Oh, God, here she comes. And this is what happens when you lose. You put your hat on and you get on your horse and you start. Oh, God, there she goes. Oh no. She's into the wine, riding her horse. Bless her heart. Caden, look what you did to your aunt. Oh, God. Whoa. What do we have here? Oh, my goodness. Look what just walked in the door. I was not expecting this. Young Guns. We have an entrance by Young Guns. Everybody. Fresh off of selling Microsoft. Kissing those guns. Oh, my God. Boats and Hose is in the house. Boats and Hose is in the house. And Crush. Woo! Just got a little dizzy. I wasn't ready for that. Wasn't ready for that. All right. Young Guns 2-0. Crush, I guarantee you she will be back. She has the most feared duo in the league with Roethlisberger and Brown. And you know what? I'm going to say this before moving on. Young Guns has that feel of that team, kind of like True Blue last year, where he's got a golden horseshoe up his ass. He's 2-0, but he hadn't really scored, but the teams he's playing are falling down on their dicks and tripping over their ball sacks, and he's getting victories. So if he continues to score low, it'll catch up to him, but if he keeps, you know what, his guys are getting touches, look out. Look out's all I'm saying. If a team can win when they're not at their best, those are the teams that get in the playoffs because he's bound to blow up and he's bound to score some points. And you know what? Me personally, I'll take an ugly win every day of the week because you know what? There's plenty of times when you score 100 and lose. So if you can get that 70-point victory or that 75-point victory, more power to you, man. I'll take it all damn day. All right, last game. Kissing your sister. What do we always say? And how many times does it happen in our league? I love this league. One of the reasons why is we have a lot of ties. Our scoring system is set up where we have close games, where everything is nip and tuck. And guess what? Week 2, we get our first tie of the year. Deer Tay at Blakestas Gangstas, 77-77. And, you know, looking at this game closer, there was a lot of what-ifs in this game. And, you know, this is vintage Gangsta, if you ask me. First of all, let's talk about Gangsta. You know, he did have an injured player. He lost Jonathan Stewart early in the game after only 7 touches. He had 1 point. But he ended up coming from behind on Monday night. He needed 9 points from Alshon Jeffrey to get a tie. He owned the tiebreaker, okay? Thanks to Ryan Matthews and Will Fuller, he owned the tiebreaker. And guess how many points he got on Monday night? Well, in true gangsta fashion, he got 9 points. Now, when it looked like the Philly defense was controlling them all night long, Cutler gets hurt. He hurts his thumb. He goes out. In comes, Hoyer. Hoyer comes in, and he starts going right down the field. Philly gives up last couple of minutes of the game. Jeffrey gets his points. Bang, Gangsta wins. Okay? Another thing I'll point out about Gangsta is if he starts Ryan Matthews in either place of Jonathan Stewart or Mark Ingram, he wins that game. That's a what-if for him. I'm going to end this night on Deer Tay, and I want to point a finger at you, Dale, because you know what? This is some shit that we can't have in this league, and it's, you know what? You're better than this, and you got to spend more time on it. Now, maybe you get away with Thomas Rawls, okay? And that looks pretty good preseason. Thomas Rawls and Ezekiel Elliott. All the magazines are telling you that's the good mix. I can't even say that. He had 15 touches in week 1. He had 10 touches in week 2. Look what happened. Thomas Rawls got 0 points. If Deer Tay even gets 1 point out of Thomas Rawls, he wins this game. He had 7 rushes for -7 yards. What the shit is wrong with Seattle? You know what's wrong? Russell Wilson's ankle's hurt. They load the box up. They're in their home opener down in Los Angeles, and that fearsome front of the Rams absolutely shut him down. If he only gains -5 yards, if he has 7 carries for -5 yards, Dirte wins the game. That's an ultimate what-if scenario. Another thing of bad luck, Doug Baldwin leaves the game with an injury with only 2 points. Okay? And finally, Larry Fitzgerald on his bench with 14. Guy had 2 touchdowns last week. You got to give Fitzgerald some consideration over Baldwin or Jordy Nelson. If he starts Fitzgerald, he wins the game. Now, we'll see with Dirte going forward. If we see Thomas Rawls in his lineup again next week after a shin injury, we're going to know that he wasn't paying attention and he never even saw this video. I expect him to be active on the wire this week and fix that and to stay competitive. That way we can keep the league on a good competitive balance. Fix your shit, Dirte. I like your team. I like Bortles. I love Nelson, Witten, Ezekiel Elliott. Everything looks good. You just need to put a full lineup in every week. Gangster, you're lucky, man, because you slipped by the hair of your nuts and you didn't even draft your team. All right. Having said all that, spent too much time on this. I hope everybody watched it till the end. If you didn't, oh well. There's Tuesday morning quarterback for you on Tuesday night. And love all you guys. Peace out. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.